so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.
Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stroman.
And this is Home Wizards. Thanks for hanging with us. So, when I think of a project that I'm going to pursue most often, I don't know about you, Eric, but it's like about me, it's about my family, it's about just feeling good.
Right.
But when you do have a home, we know that you got to think about, okay, the next guy. But who wants to think about the next guy all the time? Are you ever thinking about the next guy?
Well, yeah. I mean, I did I've had a couple of houses in my life from the time I was, like 27. I bought one, and then I kind of moved up, and I was always kind of putting an eye toward how can I do this so that it works for the family, but also it'll sell.
Okay.
People be into it.
Well,
right?
You're smart that way because,
Yeah.
that is important to be aware of, but it's difficult because sometimes, we feel deprived. We feel like, gosh, I want to splurge and build my own man cave.
Right.
Which is cool.
But also you have to kind of consider now what's going to really kind of come back to me. I'm going to put this money out to buy this particular thing that I want to make it more cozy, for example. Is this going to get it in the back end, or is it just for me?
Right.
So you have to make those distinctions, and that's, I think, what we want to talk about today.
So the good news is, we're hearing in the news that things are starting to bounce back in home improvement land, that, believe it or not, people were doing some things to their homes last year, and that they're saying it's going to be even more this year. So let's review what you think would be some of what we know are some of the top 5 or 6 remodels that will pay off. And can you believe it? That it's replacing the front door is number one.
Isn't that amazing? And by the way, I'm doing mine now.
Not just painting it,
no,
replacing
I have to replace the whole thing.
You are going to replace
the kids actually poked through the glass, so now I have duct tape on the front glass.
Did they hurt
pane.
themselves?
No, it was just like cheesy 1980s bad phony stained
How'd they poke
glass.
through the glass?
They threw a ball through it.
Okay. So they didn't
now
really...
you can literally just reach in and open the
That's
door.
Nice.
It's
very
really
burglar
safe.
friendly.
Yeah. Come in, friends. Take my belongings. Yeah. So,
yes, and by the way, Eric's address is... No.
And while you're at it, you can get my PIN number. It's taped up on the side of the wall.
But don't take Forrest, the little puppy.
No.
But, the front door... When you think of it, it's going to cost you $1,000.
Yeah.
Now, $1,000 is a lot of money. That's good. That's a lot.
Actually, I'd say even a little bit more. By the time you get a good
really
installer and locks and all that good stuff,
But you could get a door for $1,500-ish, or you could get a really super. What was that Colby door that you liked so much? That was like it had
aluminum
the soft
cladding on the outside.
The soft glass that had kind of like that opaque look to it.
Yes,
that's probably like a $5,000 to $10,000 door.
More like $35,000 to $40,000. Yeah,
per $35,000.
Now let me tell you about
more like what?
$3,500.
Okay, then that's.
Let me tell you though about the aluminum clad. This is what my door guy told me, which is a really interesting idea. If you have a family like I do where spears are hurled or things are thrown at siblings, right? They do this all the time. And you hit the door with something that's hard, you'll dent those clad doors, right? And then you can't really take the dent out like you can with wood. Traditionally, you can do Bondo and sand it and repaint it. But if you ding those metal doors, they're dung for pretty much ever.
That's bad news.
It's bad news, but chances are, if you don't have crazy kids like I do who shoot each other with, wrist rockets,
about
slingshots,
lifestyle.
It's fine.
Or if you're like somehow like if Rambo is in your life or something like you're constantly undercover.
That's right.
It just depends who's in your world.
A CIA profile.
Yes, so
that
is the top number one payoff for replacing a remodeling right now. So think about that as you're making your to-do list for the year.
And think about it too. When I walked into a house last night, my kids had a party. Their friend of theirs had a party. The dad has this house with this huge, beautiful door that's like 8 feet tall, right? The way the lock worked, it just makes you feel like this house is going to be beautiful. As soon as I walk through
this significant
door,
thing,
it makes
isn't
a
it?
huge difference psychologically. All right, go ahead. Number 2.
Number 2 is a deck edition, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are thinking about extending the time they can spend outdoors. So what, $9,000?
Probably about $9,000 for a 10 by 12 deck, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit bigger. And I think, by the way, this is a great investment. Not only does it give you more outdoor living space, it just makes the house feel more complete on the side of the back.
It's like a whole other room. It's
exactly.
A total, like you've extended, like you say, your space. And because of that, you're going to possibly have to pay more taxes.
Yeah, maybe.
If you possibly,
yes, possibly.
If you add a new deck, you might have to have property tax increase.
Right.
You might, depending, and you have to check with your tax assessor.
That's true.
And there might also be insurance costs involved.
If it's pretty high off the house, and you've got like 6-8 foot piers going into the earth, and it's suspended, yes, you may have to pay a little bit more.
But then when it comes to now we know it's a good investment. Then there's all different kinds of materials to choose from. gets back to
and
lifestyle.
Don't even get me started with the materials that are available now. Man, like some of these things like Trex or these amalgamated products that create wood from sawdust and plastic together, which are essentially green in the way that they process it.
Well, they use like wet grocery bags and meld that with sawdust.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how about that? And you don't have to do any servicing on them whatsoever by the time you're finished with it.
And it keeps the color and it doesn't get faded, right?
Well, and you have to consider too, if it's $9,000 for a deck, but this other material is $12,000. How many times in the life of the deck are you going to have to repaint it or refinish it? It may end up making sense
to get the more expensive.
The more expensive because there's no service involved.
And I mean, gosh, think about how you extend just your satisfaction quotient, right? By being outside and having more moments with your family outside.
Last night, the dogs and I grilled some steak for the steak taco. They always come out and look at me like, "Oh, please, God, drop some of that meat, please."
I love how you have some grilling partners. Yeah. That's the dog. That's great. Really, but seriously, that's so number one is replacing the front door. Number two is thinking about a deck extension. Both are going to be, we're from a few grand to maybe $9,000 or $10,000.
Right.
And then some. Third on the list, this is what my husband wants us to do. It's to replace the garage door. And again, it gets back to curb appeal. You're seeing that a lot of people's garage door is almost like a front door. It faces the street.
And think about the mass and the size of the door and what that is in relation to the rest of your house. It's a huge aspect. It's almost like a billboard on your house.
It is.
If it doesn't look great, it can diminish the value of the property.
So how do you pick? I mean, it's very overwhelming because, it's everything from just like the front door, aluminum to steel to all wood, to fiberglass to composite, vinyl, so on and so forth. But it gets back to your budget, right? Yep. It could be anywhere from $500 to $5,000.
Yeah, and so a lot of times with the garage doors, you want to kind of reference your trim style. Right. If you've
home.
If you have basic trim that's just white, you can get away with a white door. If you've got really beautiful wood casing that you're, putting a clear coat on, you can get into those beautiful wood doors that become, just an architectural statement. It's amazing. And then you can do the opaque glass if you want to go a little more modern.
I mean, some of those, especially when people turn their garage into like a studio or something, and you have that opaque glass, it really is cool.
Source then,
it's neat. So, and the good thing is that a lot of these companies have gotten hip to the fact that we don't know how to visualize our space. So you go to their website or their app, and you can insert a photo of your home or your existing garage door and put their product in there, and it kind of helps you.
I mean, it's basically like when you think about it, if you're looking at somebody with an outfit on, it's the blazer to the outfit in terms of the garage door to the house.
Well, there you go.
It's a huge amount of space.
Or in my case, it might just be the booties.
In my case,
you never can have too many boots.
In my case, it might just be the coconut bra.
Okay. All right, next on the list. Okay, so those are the first three. And by the way, all those three remodel opportunities are going to bring back anywhere from 80% of your investment to like 75%. I mean, huge. It's like no-brainer.
It makes sense to do it.
But number 3 on the list, are you ready for this, is minor kitchen remodel. Not like a major one, but a minor one.
So we're talking knobs and paint?
A little bit more than that. When you say minor, I mean, gosh, $20,000. That's still a lot of money.
So financially,
but when you think that, a major kitchen remodel can, with appliances and everything to boot, it's going to cost you anywhere from $50, $70 upward.
Yeah.
But for a $20,000, they're saying that if you'd spend around that level without the appliances, let's say, but just with maybe new countertop or new cabinets, or at least resurface, something like that, and maybe some new vinyl floors.
Sure, and I did. Probably, I would say 60% of my business as a kitchen and bathroom remodeler for years was that exact project. So you keep your cabinets, maybe you replace the doors, or you paint what you already have. Mm-hmm. You change the wall color, then you maybe do a new counter with a tile backsplash and a new floor, and that's it. That constitutes a minor remodel. So to your point, huge difference in terms of and when I was doing my business here in Los Angeles as a contractor, it was at that time when the market had peaked and then it went down into a terrible place, and then it was coming back up again. And that's when I did all these remodels, and they made a huge difference selling the home.
See, and to that point, so this is what we're talking about, is not just for you, but for the next guy. And the tip is that the would-be buyer, they're going to look at that kitchen, and they know in their mind that it's going to cost about $40,000 at least to fix it. So if it doesn't at least get close to looking reasonable, you might lose $40,000 on your asking price.
That's a great point, yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're thinking about selling your home, something. Okay. And then the next one that's really good to think about is siding. Now, siding replacement isn't as sexy, but boy, what a difference that makes, too.
Well, it is sexy, though, if you go from a horrible-looking house with paint that is peeling and wood rot to something brand new. And, you know, especially if you're going in different architectural styles, like going from stucco to siding or from bad...
Very clean looking.
Yeah,
huh?
it can really transform, again, the way the entire house looks.
It's about $13,000-ish, right?
Yeah.
At least, wouldn't you say?
I would say,
You can't get it for much less?
And then if you do siding, again, that gets back to... Don't use wood, but use some of those products like Hardy plank or the composite siding, vinyl or the cement-based siding.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're going to post this on the website, but there you have it. Some of the top things to think about: the remodeling jobs that pay off from your entry front door, the siding replacement, a deck addition, a minor to mid, garage door replacement, and a minor kitchen remodel. I mean, those are some things to.
Those are things that are all within reach financially and will make a huge difference.
And they're all with the exception of the kitchen, they're all very visual to the outside.
And they'll make you feel like, wow,
Yeah.
I did this and it made a big difference in the way I love my house.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about mold.
No.
It's kind of creepy, but you know what? It's not just you. A lot of people have mold in their home, and it can make you sick. We're going to find out how do you know if you have it, and then if you do, how do you make sure you can get rid of it? All right? Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, you're listening to Home Wizards, where we love to improve your home and improve your life.